Food to me is just an incredible show of love. How do you show love for somebody? When someone's sick and someone shows up with a bucket of chicken soup, that's love. You cook for them. And that's why I like what I do, because
Welcome everybody to the Rally Cry podcast. My name is Angel.
And my name is Tyler.
And you guys are here because you want to learn, you want to grow, you want to move from the past, and you want to live in this moment. As all the time, it's always about the mental capacity that we can give ourselves. And today we have a good friend of ours visiting us today. And it's actually the second time she's came on. The first time we had an awesome conversation. It was so awesome, and it wasn't recorded. Like, the video was recorded, but the audio, you guys wasn't going to be able to hear it. So we were like, hey, can you come back so we can have another wonderful conversation? And she was like, yes, of course. So I'm so glad that you're back. Everybody, welcome Cathie. This is I'm so excited. Cathie, right? I want to say that she has a bakery over in Agawam, and you might have seen her on Mass Appeal, where she shares her, her tips and her tricks and her ingredients so that you can have a lot more healthier, like breakfast, if it's dinner, and then also bakery things too. I think sometimes when it comes to eating, we try to be so complex with it. I'm like, oh, it needs to look like this, it needs to look like that. So yeah, if you want, you can actually go on Mass Appeal, and I think there's some episodes that talk about some of the recipes you have shared. So everybody, yes, let's just one more time. Yay,
I'm back.
I'm back and I'm better.
I think you guys just didn't record it the first time because we had so much fun.
Yeah,
you just wanted me to come back, so you were like, "Oh, just pretend."
It was such an exhilarating experience that we were like, you know what?
Yeah,
this can't be replaced, but you know what? We need to come back double the energy.
Yes, so we got lost today.
Yes, and at this time the weather is better than it was last time.
It's a beautiful day. It's sunny. I just went for a nice long car ride from New York.
Yes.
So I'm here and ready to talk about food and all good things that surround that.
Yes, everything about you. I would like to actually start, because I know we know a little bit briefly about your story, but for everyone that's listening, like, you started a bakery business and all these things. Sometimes that comes from certain backgrounds, right? What was your background into getting into a bakery business? Like, what was your story that led you into who you are today?
Well, my story is that when I was 19, I started working in the restaurant industry, and it was kind of unexpected. So, but I really liked it, and I just ended up working in different restaurants around Boston, and I got a lot of knowledge from a lot of really amazing people, and I learned a lot of great things about food and baking, and so I always had a dream that I wanted to have my own business. And so that's what I did. I followed my dream and set out to open a very small bakery. And at the time I started my business, it was a card table on the side of the road, and I was selling like muffins and little, soap and jam and vegetables from the garden. And it just grew from there. It went from a table to a farm stand to an inside bakery that we had a garage, and we turned it into a little shop and a kitchen, and again grew from there. Then I moved into Springfield and opened a restaurant there. I was still baking, but I also loved the restaurant business because I was able to cook. I do love to bake, but I also love to cook and be creative that way too. And then I moved over to Longmeadow, from Springfield to Longmeadow. Then I went to West Side, and then I ended up in Agawam, where I feel like that was my real end goal, was to have more of a bakery and a cafe style. And our specialty is we are a 100% dedicated gluten-free and allergy-friendly bakery. So our goal, while gluten-free is not necessarily healthier, but what it does is there's a lot of people out there with celiac disease or intolerances to wheat and dairy and soy, and our goal as a cafe and bakery is to provide humans who have those intolerances or allergies to be able to come and eat. So like our desserts, for instance, our goal is, we were talking a little bit about keto, and you can make desserts on a keto diet with or less sugar. Ours are just, we want to make really good desserts that are gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan, using all the regular ingredients, except, again, with flour, we use different kinds of flours that don't contain wheat. We use sugar, we use, all the good stuff, eggs sometimes, but then we do a lot of vegan stuff because there's a lot of people with egg allergies. And then our food, we do have a small menu with sandwiches and a salad and soups and things. And all of those are made homemade from scratch with really good fresh ingredients, sometimes organic, sometimes not, but as long as they're fresh, local, everything's made to order. So if you come in and order something, it's not sitting under a heat lamp, or it's not, out of a bag or whatever. It's not frozen, and it's fresh and homemade, and that's what I do.
Yeah, I love it, and I can't wait to visit because
Hey, you got to come and visit.
I haven't given the chance to visit yet, but I'm definitely gonna
When
visit.
you're out of school.
Yes, I got
When you're
three,
out of school, you come.
3 more weeks.
Yeah, good.
As we're speaking right now, I got 3 more weeks, and then I'll graduate. So yes,
Great.
that could
It'll
be
be
like
a good
treat,
present to yourself.
a good treat,
Yes.
literally, pun
Yeah.
intended.
2024 is just filled with so many great things coming right now, man. That's just all that we're getting.
It is. I agree.
And I think, when it comes to, having a business as far as especially food, I think is like the most important things because people are trying to be healthy, but they don't know how to be healthy.
Right.
And I think, having the option of like gluten-free products so that, people that have those intolerances, they're able to still enjoy.
Right. That's my goal. That was my goal. It was to not do anything except make things for people to enjoy. And especially people, I think the best thing about my business is it's not only I'm doing something I love, but I'm also doing something that helps people.
Right.
In other words, there's a lot of people that do jobs where they're like, you're in the medical field, or you're in whatever it is that you're in that helps people. I love seeing somebody come in and have their little daughter or son with them, and the kid's eyes are huge, and they're like, "Can I eat that cupcake?" And the mom's like, "Yes, you can." And the kid is crazy. The mom's so happy. And that is like the reward from that is so high to me, and I think that's again what it's all about. When we were talking the last time and unfortunately we really didn't get to post that episode because it was really good.
Yes.
I think one of the things that we focused in on, and I was thinking to myself, this is a good thing we could talk about today, as far as like people coming together and people, just being good to each other and kind to each other and loving each other. Food to me is just an incredible show of love. And that's why I like what I do, because you're doing something for somebody that's making them so happy.
Right.
And this has gone back to caveman times,
Right.
Like what did the caveman do? He goes out and he clubs the dinosaur and drags it home, and hey, honey, I'm home and here's dinner, and the cave woman is all happy. And then, if you look at history, everything, during times of kings, everything was, they had food everywhere and pheasants and crazy things. And then just families in general. I know things are different nowadays and a lot of people don't have time to cook.
Right.
But even back when, you think of like, again, I'm older, so I know about these like the 50s and 60s where moms stayed at home and they cooked dinner, and the husband came home and, honey, here's dinner. This is how we show love to other people. And food to me, I'm so overwhelmed that I'm in this business that is providing something to humans that creates such an awesome feeling.
Right.
So I feel like this is so perfect for me because I always think about that. I'm like, how do you show love for somebody? Right. You cook for them. When someone's sick and someone shows up with a bucket of chicken soup, that's love.
Right.
So
yes,
that's what we're doing. Is we're going to talk about that, I think, today. I'm going to run the podcast from now on, everybody.
No,
Cathie, I like that a lot. Like, sorry to cut you off, Angel.
No.
I really like that a lot because I think one of the biggest things that like really stands for your business is like the accommodation factor. Like, it's accommodating for everybody that could be coming in with a keto plan, could be on a vegan diet, could be a vegetarian. And recently, you know, even starting my keto diet recently has been teaching me a lot, not only about humility, but also the idea of like what support looks like. You know, my girlfriend
Right.
buy me certain things that I need while I was at work, and now like I didn't have to worry about what am I gonna have for dinner because like I'm being on such a specific diet, right? And then for people that, you know, could be having a hard day, and like let's say they may have temptation, you know, depending on like how much sugar they eat or how much dairy they have, you know, having that support around you and having a bakery that is so accommodating where like, you know, you don't know these people, but like they already are so friendly, like, hey, if you're on a diet, we have all these things, or you can switch it out for something else. So
Right.
like being able to go somewhere like that and still be able to enjoy sweets specifically too, that's a
Yeah.
win-win for me. Like I just have to admit that there.
No, I totally get it. And that's, I think, you know, everybody says, why do you do what you do? Because the other side of the business is it's really hard owning a business, and
Hmm.
there's a lot to it, and it's a lot of work and a lot of hours. And there's always the reinventing
Hmm.
factor, which is another, I know that's another really good topic too,
Yeah.
but you know, it's definitely a lot of work. But once again, the reward of all this to me is so great that it keeps me going. It's a driving force to make my business better constantly. You know, like we have played around with some of the keto stuff. It's a little bit more difficult because you do have to use different sugars, you know, like a monk fruit or some other kind of sugar substitute. And
Hmm.
sometimes baking with those things doesn't exactly come out like you want it to. But we've messed around with the low sugar stuff, and we make some really good lemon blueberry muffins that are refined sugar. So they're made with maple syrup instead, or, you know, so again, there's a lot of different pieces to my puzzle. Whereas again, I've got the allergy intolerances. I have the people that are definitely on diets. Like we'll have people come in and say, instead of having that sandwich on bread, can I have that on a salad? Absolutely, 100%. Like if you came up and you were visiting and you and him came in and you were like, hey, Cathie, I'm not eating bread right now. Oh, I'll totally hook you up. You know, that's what
Mm,
we're there for. You're there
right.
to be accommodating. There's a reason why they call it the hospitality industry. It's because you're there to cater to people and to take care of them. And once again, the food to me is a way to take care of people. And that's how I do it. I'm not necessarily how
Yes.
everyone else does it, but that's how I do it.
You know, that's so important because you can obviously see that you are very compassionate to what you do. And I think the matter of doing something that you're passionate about and it gives service to others, that's what you call living on purpose.
Right.
Because,
Hmm.
you know, that's the fact of that, you know, I'm just doing this and it just makes me happy that I'm doing for someone. That the fact that I can make someone else feel happy because they took a bite of the muffin that I made,
Right.
and it's healthy, by the way. Did you
Yeah.
know that? Oh, it has all these other things, so you don't have to worry about, you know, the chemicals that could be possibly wrong.
Yeah.
Because nowadays, you know, we go to stores and all these
Oh, the
ingredients. There's things.
ingredient labels are,
Oh my god, yeah, and
It's
that
a
was another
long
thing. We're
paragraph,
you
like you're
can't
reading an essay.
pronounce
yep.
anything. You can't pronounce.
It's like
Yeah. What's that word?
what
I
is
don't
that?
even know what that is, but I know I don't
Or
want it in my
or if
body.
anything, it'll have a red 4, blue 3, blue
Right.
36, like y'all these
Yes.
color dyes, and it's
Yes.
like what, like why
Yeah.
are you putting, like what is that?
Right.
I definitely want to get into that part, but before we do, I wanted to ask you, because as much as you've been in the baking and cooking industry, I wanted to ask, like, what was your inspiration when growing up? Like, how was family like when you was, you know, now going into this passion that you've got into? Was family really involved into what you do now?
Yes, my family is was huge influence for me because my grandfather was a chef for many years, and he was worked at places like the Palm Beach Biltmore, and he worked at Pocono Manor, which is in Pennsylvania. Big, you know, chef type ice sculpture
Oh
buffet
yes,
kind of thing.
yes,
And
I
like I
remember
said, you
Oh,
know,
that.
like I said, I have pictures from
what?
him in way back with they're all black and white old pictures, and there he is with all this crazy food. And so
Mm.
he was definitely um I admired him. I looked up to him so much. My grandfather, he died when I was really young, but the time I had spent with him was he was just an amazing man. And as my family, all of us, we always had family meals. My father's Italian, so that side of the family, every Sunday we'd go to my grandparents' house, and my grandmother would put out the meat and the cheese and the bread, and then came the pasta, and then came the roast. And again, that was my grandmother showing her family how much she loved them by come on over and just eat everything. And everybody was happy. And so I feel like that's definitely been a huge inspiration for me, because once again, even though there are people that come into my place that I don't even know, there'll be a time at maybe 12:30 when we just had this huge line and everybody's got their food and they're all sitting at the tables and everybody's talking and eating and they're making these faces and taking pictures of the food and laughing. And it's like, this is what it's all about. And that's how it was for me growing up. And even regular weekdays, my dad worked, we went to school, we came home, my mom was making the meatloaf or the roast chicken, and then at 5:30 everybody sat down at the table and you had dinner together. You didn't run in the door and grab something and be like, oh, I'm on my way out to, I mean, nowadays again it's a lot different because there's sports and kids are much more involved in later activities or dance and this and that, so it's harder to be more, I think, of a family unit, so to speak. But when most of the moms used to stay home, I think that's when you really got lucky and had the family time with the food.
Right. Do you have like a certain tradition that you do for like your family as far as like when it comes to eating, or is it just still because of those times as far as like, there's people are so busy and all those other things, so it kind of limits that?
No, well, for me, I cook dinner for myself every day. And I sit down and I eat my dinner because I love it. Again, it's how we were taught. We never went out to eat. When we were younger, growing up, it was there 4 of us in the family, and my dad was the only one that worked. So, to make ends meet, that's how we did it. We never went out for pizza or McDonald's or anything like that.
Right.
We just had food that my mom prepared for dinner most of the time. Every once in a while, we would get a little treat, or my grandfather would take us to McDonald's and sneak in. And I was like, why'd you take those kids there? They're going to ruin their dinner, like that kind of stuff. But no, and then for holidays, we still get together as family, like the niece and nephew fly in with their significant others. And my parents are still alive. My mom is 85 and my dad's 90. And, and last Thursday, they just celebrated their 65th wedding anniversary.
Wow, congratulations on that. That's so
And
great.
this is the best part of the story. It almost brings me to tears. Every week on Tuesday night, my dad cooks dinner every night for my mom, because he always says he's Italian guy. They don't show a lot of emotion, except like anger.
It's a thing though. My mom has an Italian boyfriend, so I know a little bit, knowing the way their personality.
Right. So my dad always said the same thing. This is how I show your mother I love her. I cook dinner for her every night. I'm like, okay, Dad, nice try. So, my dad on Tuesday night, he makes pasta, and he makes however he makes it. Sometimes it's red sauce with meatballs. Other times it's like garlic and olive oil and different kinds of meat and vegetables. But without fail, every Wednesday, my 90-year-old father gets in the car with my mother and drives up to my cafe and comes in with a big container of pasta. And this is my dad still cooks for me. I'm 62 and my 90-year-old dad is still making me dinner. So that's why it sticks with me, because this has been going on since I was a little teeny child.
Yeah. And I think, I love that we're talking about food, but more importantly about what food does for us, right? We're not talking about how we eat it, and like, yes, you will talk about that, but it's like the fact that when food literally brings us together, right?
Yes.
It's the fact of, hey, this is how, I made this. And the fact that it tastes so good is like, oh my God, you did so much hard work to it. And even if it's not, it's kind of like, still thank you, right? It's the way of acts of service. That's what love is, right? That's one of the loves. So I think being able to understand that when someone is cooking for you, or it's a very intimate thing, it's a very loving thing. Like Tyler has cooked for me a couple of times, right? And I know we're talking about this before.
Yes, we were.
And there was times where like Tyler be coming out of nowhere with these burgers, and mind you, I'm a burger guy.
That's right. You told me about the burgers.
Yeah, so he'll come out of nowhere. He'll like look in my kitchen, right? He'll look in the fridge, and he'll just look, and he'll just start throwing things like, you know, just throwing. All you hear is cats, meow, throwing stuff. And I'm like, yo, Tyler, what are you doing? And he was like, behold, the burger that you've never tasted ever. And I'm like, bro, what did you put in this? He was like, just try it. That's it. Just try it. And I'll try it, and it'll be like really good. And I'm like, bro, what did you put in this? Yeah, I used applesauce. I used ketchup, barbecue, and all these other things. I'm like, bro, I would have never thought of using these things. I was like, bro, you have them in your kitchen. I'm like, bro, that's so crazy.
It's like, that's he was being creative, and he was trying to do something special for you,
right?
Because you're his friend, and that's how he's showing you he loves you another way. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm going to come in, and I'm going to come in your kitchen, and I'm going to cook for you. And again, it's not necessarily like it's your friend or your mom or your sister or your, like in my case, funny story. My boyfriend, he worked on a ice cutter ship in Alaska. He was worked out at sea for a really long time. And over the years, his diet, you know, it's hard to eat food like that because it's always prepared, like, you know, not all restaurants and kitchens, maybe some people use canned things or, you know, again, but he was eating a lot of food. Like there wasn't a lot of fresh stuff to eat, like berries and salads and things. The fresh things, he said, would always be gone in a few days because you're on a ship out in the middle of the ocean. You can't go to the grocery store and get more lettuce, you know, and they're not going to airdrop it to you because they don't do that when you're up in Alaska. There is no lettuce up there.
Right.
So over the years, you know, he started having a lot of trouble eating, and, you know, he found out he had a really bad case of acid reflux, and there was damage to his esophagus and everything. So his diet had to completely change. So I come and I start looking up different things to make for him that he can have, like, because they give you a whole list of things that you can't have when you have acid reflux. You can't have tomatoes. You can't have any foods that produce acid. You know, fried foods, a lot of fatty foods, dairy sometimes, sugar can trigger it off. So it became like a quest for me to find things that he could have and eat and enjoy, like foods that he was used to. So it was really funny because I found this recipe for what they call no-mato sauce. And instead of no-mato, like tomato, but no-mato. Yeah, exactly. and so it was made with roasted vegetables and no tomato vegetable and just a little bit of beet juice in the end. And you pureed all the vegetables in the beet juice, and it had herbs in it like oregano. I swear to God, this stuff tasted just like marinara sauce.
Wow.
And I made a pizza for him with vegan cheese, and he was like, "This is amazing." Like, I don't even know. So, and he was so happy. And once again, there you go. You're trying, like, he's creating this burger for you out of applesauce and barbecue sauce and whatever. And here I am making no-mato sauce with vegetables and beet juice. And again, it's because I cared about him and I wanted him to have what he wanted. And he was like, "Hey, I'm going to make you dinner, dude. And this is what we're going to do. And I'm going to make something creative for you." Acts of love.
Yeah.
Acts of love. You know, Cathie, I love as you're saying that because, you know, even in the moments where, like, when I would cook for Angel, or if I cook for anybody, like, I like to create my segment, right? So even when I'm cooking, I always think, like, all right, like, what's going to make this an experience for myself, whether I'm serving it for myself or I'm serving it for somebody else. And once again, I'll plug in music. So I'm really big on listening to music when I'm cooking. And I enjoy using fresh ingredients as well. So, like, I don't mind taking the time, like, getting everything ready and sauteing it, cooking it, and letting it simmer and let the flavors really sink in. And something I wanted to ask you, you know, when you cook, what does that segment look like for you? Do you have to play something in the background while you're cooking? Do you like to hear an audiobook while you're cooking? What does that look like for you?
Well, I think this is going to sound really odd, but like when I get home and I'm making dinner, these are some of the things that I like doing when I'm cooking. So I have this knife, and it's like I think it's called an ulu knife, and it looks like it's like almost like a half moon knife, like a mezza luna, so to speak.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
And it comes with a little bowl. And I love like when I use that, I'm always amazed at how well it works to dice an onion. Or like if you need something and you say a diced onion, I'm not a fan of food processors. I know it sounds crazy, but because when I was growing up and I learned how to cook and I was cooking in restaurants, we had food processors and stuff, but a lot of stuff was done by hand. So I still tend to be like at my restaurant, my prep girl, Mila, she cuts stuff up by hand. She slices carrots, she does everything. That's not like now. I think now we're finally going to get a food processor though, because we have this old one that we bought at like the Ocean State job lot for $10. I've had it for about 20 years and the thing still works.
Wow.
But there's just something
Good
about
maintenance.
I know using your techniques or like that knife. I just every time I use it, I love like the smells of things and the colors and the like, you get some fresh basil. I'm just one of these people that'll look at it and be like, oh my God, look at the leaves on this basil. It's so beautiful. And the smell. And so there's music playing in the background or there's something else. But I find that my attention always goes to like, wow, look at how fresh and beautiful than pink this piece of salmon is, or it's because it's food and cooking is a passion for me, so I feel like my attention is always drawn to what it is that I'm using, and what else do I have in the refrigerator where I can make something, add to this experience that'll make it even better. So by the time I get done with my piece of salmon and my salad, I've got some, maybe I had a red pepper in the fridge and then I use that knife. Wow, look at how perfect those pieces of, and it's not like an OCD, like these have to be chopped exactly right. It's just like, oh my God, this is so nice and so much fun. And this is going to be such a beautiful salad. Now I've had somebody to show it to, it would be even better. And then sometimes I'll take a picture of it. But,
Right.
but yeah, I think that's usually what happens when I'm cooking.
That's so nice. I think
that's beautiful only because like, it makes me think of Ratatouille when he would taste the food and he's just like, but then he's looking around and he's like, and he's just thinking and like he's speculating like, nah, I think that could go together.
Yes, and that's exactly it. And then the funniest part of all is you should see me eat it, because like I'll be sitting there with my boyfriend and I'll be like, oh my God, this is so good. And he's just like laughing. And I'm like, I know it's ridiculous, isn't it? That it's like one little bite of something and I'll be like, oh my God, that's so good. But it's, again, I love food and I cook food and I love what I make. Or like, if you say I was here right now and you gave me the bowl of cereal, remember we were talking about the cereal? It was like Fruit Loops and Apple Jacks or some kind of mix like
that's
that.
exactly what it was. Yeah.
Right. And now if you handed me that and I started eating it, that's all you'd hear would be like, oh my God, this is so good. Oh my God, I can taste the apple in there. Oh, it's so crispy. It's like that.
I gotta get the vowels out and everything.
A-E-I-O-U.
It reminds me. It's reminding me like when someone's eating and you're right next to them and all you hear is them going like,
Yeah. Yes. It is.
I love that.
Because
it's even bigger when their facial expressions are doing more and like, but they're silent and they're just like,
right. Yeah.
That's me. I'm the silent one. The one like.
Well, it's funny because I'll come over to a table every once in a while and I'll ask somebody, like if I'm going downstairs to grab something and I'll walk by a table and someone's just taking a big bite of this meatloaf sandwich or whatever it is that they're eating and their eyes are like this, and I'll go, is everything okay? And they're like, they make the face where they're shaking their head and their eyes are wide open and they look so happy. Again, food is just, it's an experience.
It really is an experience. I think, the times that, I've cooked for myself, I've gotten better at like putting things together, like ingredients and stuff, and just also like prepping after that, because I think now, when it comes to cooking, we live in such a fast-paced world.
Right.
The world is getting faster, quote, quote, sort of say, right?
Oh.
So it's kind of like we need to figure out, okay, I don't want to take away from cooking. If anything, I need to add more to cooking, right? So if I'm cooking, I'm not just cooking for one day. I got to cook for like 2-3 days ahead just in case.
Yeah, it's great to meal prep and keep stuff in your refrigerator. And then when you come home or when you're running home from school or wherever you're doing, all you got to do is take something out. You can make a huge pot of soup and put it in containers and keep it in your refrigerator all week. And I mean, for me, I'm one of those people that I totally can eat the same thing 3 nights in a row. I don't care because if it's really good, well, I ain't going to complain about that. And then maybe you change it up a little bit. Like maybe one night, say you made like this really good thick soup with lots of stuff in it. There's nothing wrong with one night maybe you make some pasta and have that with it, or rice or
Right.
whatever, you know, or just get some bread or have a salad, or again, you can change it up. So if you start with something pretty basic, there's so many different things you could do with it. So meal prepping is a huge time saver, and I feel like that's something that I would love to see more people do,
Right.
because I think it eliminates that, like, okay, the kids are coming home, they got to run to soccer. Here's a bowl of whatever it is that you made on Sunday, and it's healthy and it's good and it's going to get the kid through the soccer game or whatever, instead of handing them a prepackaged, wrapped up protein bar.
Jinxed.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah.
see, you knew exactly
yup.
where I was going with
I
that,
did.
because that's what people do.
Right.
Mhm.
They think the protein is what's necessarily going to fill them, but that doesn't necessarily
No.
is the case, right?
And then the saddest part is, remember a little earlier we were talking about all that huge list of ingredients that you don't know. Look at the back of a protein bar wrapper.
Right. They have a lot of things.
There's a lot of things there besides protein.
And some of the things, if you really take the time to look at the ingredients in the back, some of them are not even digestible.
Right.
Some of them is is man-made.
Yeah.
And it's like that's not natural at all. So how do you digest that? And over time, that's what affects your body. So it's kind of like, I wanted to ask, what makes food healthy? Because I think we just eat and they were like, oh, I just need to eat, I just need to feel full. But then after a couple hours, then they're hungry again. Like, why is that the case? What can one do to get better with their eating?
Well, again, I think so. Okay, let's see. I would say, like, so we were talking about the diet this morning, the keto diet.
Yep.
And for instance, and Tyler was saying how you are trying to change the way that you're eating, because you were eating a lot of, like, and there's nothing wrong with sandwiches. There's nothing wrong with crackers and whatever. It's more about the amounts of things. But once you were able to kind of flip the switch and you decided that you wanted to eat a little healthier, I think that's the first step. It's you gotta be like, hey, you know what? I can't live on these protein bars anymore, or I can't live on crackers and mayonnaise. Is that what it was that you said you were eating? Crackers and mayonnaise?
I grew up doing that.
Okay, well, that's okay, because it's something you liked. It's a comfort food. I knew somebody that used to eat mayonnaise and pickle sandwiches. You know, that was like her go-to. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's got their own thing that makes them happy. And if it's pickles and mayonnaise on bread, then that's what makes you happy. And in your case, if it was crackers and mayonnaise, then you go, because that's what you do. So one day you wake up and you decide, you know what? I really want to be a little healthier. And it could come from a million things. People could be diagnosed with a condition. They could have high blood pressure. They could have, you know, sometimes that's the start that it takes to make people want to dive into, because you don't have a choice. Like, we have a good friend my sister has a good friend who lives in Vermont. And for instance, you know, he was eating a lot of pasta every night and a lot of pre-made things. And he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, you've got really high blood pressure and you need to bring it down. You're at risk for stroke or heart attack. And so you need to eat more fish and you need to eat more vegetables. And again, that could be the reason why people change their diet to go more healthy.
Right.
Other people, you know, again, I feel like it's more of a not something has to happen, but it's a choice that you have to make. And once you do, and you start on that path, like you were saying this morning, Tyler, I felt better within a few days. All of a sudden, I felt better and I had more energy. And that's going to fuel you to keep going forward. And now you're interested in, well, I really want to make more fish and more salads. And how do I cook that? And the good news is that there's a thing called Google, and all you got to do is fish recipes, and you get 9 bazillion million fish recipes. And there you go. And if it's a matter of taking a piece of fish, putting it on a platter or a pan, putting some salt and pepper and a little olive oil on it, and throwing it under the broiler, it's cooked in 10 minutes, and Bob's your uncle. You got dinner.
Right.
So, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's the other key, is having people learn it's that easy.
Right.
It's that easy to make a piece of fish.
Kiss.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. I'm telling you. I speak my own language. The truth is that, exactly. Like anything I say, I feel like I'm really good about sticking with it. And especially that keep it simple.
Yes.
Because there you go. Again, when you think it's complicated, what do?
Make
You
it
don't do it.
or
You
you
run
make it
away.
complicated.
Right.
Right. Yep.
You know, when you start thinking, the minute you hear something like, oh, salmon dinner, oh, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do that. And what do? You run away and you go get the protein bar.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have the knowledge and you know how to broil a piece of salmon and it takes 7 minutes or whatever it is, it's going to change your life.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think the experience itself is not only eating it, but also cooking it. And
Right.
I think people try to take away the whole experience. They're like, oh, I just want to eat it. I was like, okay,
Right.
yes, we understand you may be hungry, and that's why like sometimes people don't eat is because they like fast for so long that when they gotta eat, they have to eat like right now.
Right.
So it's kind of like being mindful of like having little things here and there is
Yeah.
also important.
Yep.
And I love that you were bringing up the fact of like everybody. It was kind of like saying everyone's different. Like in this case, Tyler was talking about keto, but your first thing you said was, oh, it's just a matter of wanting to learn. Oh, the
Right.
fact that you want to get healthier and eat healthier,
Yeah.
that's the first step.
That is.
Because with that understanding, you then do your own research to what fits you. There's
Right.
no diet that fits for everybody.
No.
Everybody's different.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. My dad says it all the time, and he says it perfectly. He's like, everybody's different. Everybody likes different food. And then he launches into his whole, it's like with eggs. Some like them fried, some like them scrambled. And it's true. Everybody likes something different.
Mhm.
So I think it's a matter of, again, what's going to drive you to get to that point where you want to learn how to cook or learn that it's really just as easy to make something as it is to go buy something at the store
Right.
and eat something that might not be quite as good for you. And I do believe that over the years, we've seen the switch with that. And look at all the farmers markets that are all over the place now. You go, you shop, you buy fresh eggs, fresh vegetables, local meat, anybody can do that because they make it affordable. And there's nothing better than going to a farmer's market and getting like a bunch of carrots and a bunch of lettuce and a bunch of celery or whatever. And you go home, make a pot of soup, make a salad. I just think it's easily accessible, more so than it used to be. It used to be just going to a grocery store. And like I said, now look at every town has a farmer's market. They're making it really easy to eat fresh, more so, local secondly, organic maybe third. Because I don't know. Again, some people may not be driven by the organic thing. They think it's too expensive. But something to me that's locally grown and literally was picked a day ago and brought to a farmer's market, sign me up for that.
Right.
Mhm.
That's so true. I've been trying to be more aware of farmer markets, and I know your cafe is in Agawam, so maybe starting from there and however much more or even if it's a website, where can someone go to find farmers markets? Because I feel like we don't know about that enough.
Well, there is a website out there. There's an organization up in Hadley, or actually, I think they're located in Deerfield. It's called CISA, CISA, and they are community supported agriculture. And CISA, you can go on their website and you can find farmers markets all across the Pioneer Valley, the dates, the times, where they're located. And they also are a wealth of knowledge as far as local farms and farm markets that are actually at farm stands on the owner's property. Like, there's up, and a lot of them are, I feel like there are a lot of farms up the way of Hadley, Deerfield, up that way. But we've also got some really good ones in this area. I know they were actually doing in downtown for years when I had my first restaurant. They had a farm in downtown Springfield. And I think they still do. And actually, I used to buy stuff from them. And once a week, one of the women would come up, and it was kids that were doing this. I think it was like in an abandoned lot. And they built like a little barn on the abandoned lot. And they would come up every week with a wagon. Somebody would ride a bike with a wagon attached to it, and they would have vegetables, and I would buy them from them. And these were grown by kids in Springfield.
Wow.
There's also one of my favorite farms is Blossoming Acres over in Southwick. Lanita, I've known her forever, and she's one of the hardest working women in show business, as they say. She's a farmer, and that woman grows some amazing vegetables. And again, it's local. And some of the things I think she grows, maybe integrated pest management, where they're not using a lot of spray per se, but they're companion planting things like, if you're growing a certain vegetable, there may be like certain flowers that keep the bugs away, kind of thing. So she's really good. And again, I think the CISA website is probably one of the best places to go for all that information.
And how, for people that are listening, how do you spell it again?
It's CISA, CISA. It's a community supported agriculture. And if you Google it, you will find it. And it also encompasses they have a little magazine also on their website. They have a list of all the places that you can go buy. Again, at the grocery stores, they have listings of restaurants that use all the local produce and goods that the farms have to offer. And I know a couple of the farms that you can go to directly. I think Atlas Farm, I think they're up in Hatfield. You actually drive by and they have like a farm store where you can go in and buy eggs and vegetables and whatever's in season.
Yeah, that's a great resource. Everyone that's listening, we'll make sure we'll also put it down in our description just so it's easier for you. But yeah, I definitely am. I even wrote that down. That's why I asked too. So I wrote it down because I want to check that myself, because I think we don't look at farmers market enough because we think about, oh, it's too far, or this is something that, I'm not used to because I
can't afford it.
Yeah, or why can't I just go to Walmart and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like.
And you can. Anybody can. Again, and once again, I'm from the cut from the cloth of, you do whatever works best for you. But if you want to try something different and fun, because not only is going to a farmer's market just about buying vegetables, they have a ton of other stuff there too. So like, for instance, the Forest Park farmers market is on Tuesday. It's in Forest Park. It's by the hockey rink, and I think it's from like noon to 6. And they have vegetable vendors, but they also have like Berkshire Baking, which is all bread. They're from Pittsfield area, I think. They have a popcorn guy, Thelma's Kettle Corn, and he's awesome, and he's been there for years. He's actually a Forest Park resident, and he's at the end with his kettle corn, and you go down there, and he's the nicest guy, and you get a little sample, and you can buy a bag of popcorn. They have Monsoon Coffee, I think, is there, and they're a local coffee roaster. Yes. And Kim, Tribe Power Bites.
Yeah, shout out to her.
Yep, shout out to Kim. She is there. I've seen her at that farmer's market years ago. That was like my first farmer's market I ever did. I showed up there when I had my first cafe in Springfield. I showed up there, I had a cooler full of sandwiches and a little table. And so I've always gone there because there's a honey guy. They have food trucks. So again, you're not only going to a farmer's market, it's almost like you're going to an event.
Right. Yeah. And that's all like attitude. I think people look at, whatever it is that they necessarily need. But I think I wanted to add on to that because every time when I go to Stop and Shop, it's usually Stop and Shop where I'll go if I wanted to get some bakery stuff because that's the closest thing. Or even if it's Big Y, I try to sometimes just find a loaf of bread that's not cut.
Right.
So it's kind of like when you're able to go to these events, the possibility of coming across one where it's like organically grown and locally grown, the chances are a lot higher than going to a place like Stop and Shop or Big Y, which it's probably why I'm actually going to go after you're mentioning about this. I didn't even know about it. Like, I know there's probably some here and there, but to know that there's an actual website for it. And then like, there's some that are locally around. Definitely want to be able to see if I myself can find some.
You would love it. You would love it. And the other thing too is most of them have Facebook pages and Instagram pages, and they change vendors. Like in the farmer's market at Forest Park, they have a winter market. It actually goes all winter long. And I think it used to be in the Monkey House, but I'm not sure if it's still there or not. But it's easy enough to find because all you have to do is go to Facebook or go. I even think the farmer's market at Forest Park has a website. A lot of them have. The Greenfield Farmers Market, I believe, has a website. And they change vendors all the time. So one week you might go and you might see Kim, and the next week you may go and you might see Shell, and she makes all kinds of natural oils like elderberry syrup and lavender oils and wild violet oils, which are tinctures and things that you can put in your water or take, homeopathic type things. So again, to me it's more of an event, and it's free. I mean, you could just go walk around even if you don't buy anything, and it's a great experience because you're going to see people, you're going to hear music. A lot of times there's a live musician there, and they're just out there playing, and everybody's just hanging and happy. And and once again, what does it revolve around? Food
And bringing people together.
and bringing people together.
I
So
love
there you
it.
go. See, it's like circle. We're just gonna go in this like circle. Food is
Right.
love, and it is, because no matter what we've talked about, everything points back to the fact that food is
Mhm.
something that brings people together. It makes people happy, and it's definitely a show of love.
I feel the
Mm.
love.
I know. How can you not?
I
You know,
feel it.
like-
And of course, every time I come, do I bring any food? No, but we have to
It's
do that
hey,
next.
it's okay.
Sometimes
Yeah.
we're gonna have to do that. Maybe we'll do a cooking
we
segment.
talked about
Yes,
that.
we
Yes.
did.
So
a cooking
that is
segment
something.
is fun. That would be great.
Yes, I'll
I think
love
so.
that.
I think we can do it. We could totally pull it off here too.
Yes, I'll love that. And by the way, I have a nice stove
Yeah,
too, so
we'll do
work
it.
out.
Even if
Yes.
we make something that doesn't even involve cooking, we'll do it. We'll
Right.
get a table, we'll set up, we'll take a box of Fruit Loops and a box of Apple Jack. There we go. First
But-
meal
Yes, go get your Fruit Loops and
Applejack.
Apple Jacks edition
with oat milk.
With
oat milk.
yes, oat milk.
Almond
yes.
milk, almond milk,
Almond milk,
I'm
okay.
selling almond. I'm selling almond.
It's
Okay,
It's
it's
okay.
fine.
We're oat milk people.
Yeah, we'll do either.
I
We'll
love
make it.
that.
We'll do however we do it. It'll be great.
Or what if we just mix the milk together?
Yeah, we'll like that.
Oh no,
We're making 2 cereals, 2 milks today on Rally Cries.
We
We're
got-
doing
We got Cathie's
Oat milk.
kitchen.
Yeah.
versus
With-
almond milk. Who's
right.
gonna win?
Yeah,
Which
Yeah,
one
exactly.
do you taste more?
exactly. We
I
can
love
totally do that.
No, I
You know-
definitely want to do that. I think the importance of talking about like what we eat is important, and like I wanted to add on to the fact that when you go to these farmer markets, it's like, you know, that's how you learn, right? You be like, you might run into something you never heard of and it's
Mhm.
healthy, and then when you try it, you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna do this, you know, like if it's kind of syrups or if it's a certain flavor, or like the fact that it was from this business and it's like, oh, I like that, you know, this could be affordable for me. I use this so often, and if this is where I want to go, I can go to this person.
Right.
Just locally supporting the community, because sometimes, you know, we go to Walmart, all these things. Okay, you might get what you need, but imagine getting what you need, knowing that it's different, knowing that's organic, because you know organic's the best thing to do,
Mhm.
and also it's supporting your community. That's like
Right.
win-win for win.
The other thing too is that, for instance, I keep going back to the farmers market at Forest Park because I'm very familiar with it. There's a table, there's like a manager table,
Mhm.
and usually they're there with recipes. So say it's carrot season. I don't know, it's carrot season or rhubarb season
Rabbit
or
season.
whatever. Rabbit season. Yeah, right.
Duck season.
Yep. and they'll give you recipes. So
Wow.
not only do you get to buy whatever you want, you're going to stop by the manager's table because they usually have information about the vendors and whatnot and how to be a vendor if you want to. But they also do have recipes. And sometimes they even have recipes like there's the honey guy. I think his name is Tom. And they have recipes how to use honey. So again, it's a wealth of knowledge and a bunch of great food and a good time. So I think it's definitely something people should check out if they haven't.
Yes.
I think it's
Sure.
great because it brings emphasis on like why organic is important. Because I remember
Right.
back in 2019, I took food sustainability and agriculture, and that's what made me aware of like how back then we had so little amounts of farmers markets, at least in Springfield, and there wasn't enough. And it wasn't even brought to my attention because like the way I was raised, like there are things that were natural, but they were still bought from Walmart or Price, right? Did we know how organic they are? Did we know if they were sprayed with any pesticides or anything like that? No. So, like, being the age that I'm at now and realizing how organic is better, like, I put Angel onto Harmless Harvest coconut water, the best, coconut water ever, and like something that you know it's organic, like it's gonna say that it's organic right there, like it's gonna say it right there. You know, you have all these labels that says okay, it's gluten free, but then you see that little GMO label, and then it's like you don't want to really get near that. So I enjoy going to like farmers markets, and even there was a winter market at one of my old jobs in Springfield where like we got honey. I remember me and Angel were a part of it a little bit. We were just passing out flyers for the podcast and talking with other people and telling them about our origin and why we're doing what we're doing. But overall, I think organic is the best way to go. I also think it's the awareness of like what's around. So I'm grateful that there is something like CISA, and also I think even if people are aware of it, I think there's a little delusion behind, you know, when you try to go healthy and you try to go on a healthy diet, everything all of a sudden becomes more expensive. Now, yes, when it comes to organic, it's gonna be better, you know.
I think I totally agree with the fact that some of the organic stuff is more expensive. And once again, before when I was saying organic is great and I love it, I also do believe that a lot of the locally grown, even if it's just locally grown,
Hmm.
there's a couple of parts there too. Like I said, it didn't come on a truck for 3 weeks from California.
Hmm.
You're supporting a local business who's, the farming is hard work. I did it for a couple of years. I actually had my own small farm and it is a ton of work. So when you're out there growing stuff, you got to remember too, you've got all the elements that if it rains too much, nothing's going to grow. If it's too hot, nothing's going to grow. It's a really hard business to be in. And when you're a small farm and that's how you're making your money, think about what happens when you wake up on a April morning and all your blueberries that are just about to flower get zapped by frost. You're dead. You're dead in the water.
Crazy.
Your business is toast. Your blueberry season, which you were relying on having people coming and picking, it's over. And what are you going to do? So again, I do believe that the important things to get out there, yes, organic is amazing. Also locally grown, supporting small business, which is also a big thing. I think those are really also important things to go on, to pass along to people. And I think if they realize the importance sometimes of that, again, making changes, it's up to you or, whoever is going to make these changes. Do I want to go to a farmer's market every week? Should I try? I'm afraid it's different. I only know going shopping here.
Hmm.
People are afraid to go outside their box, so creating awareness and like you guys were at a farmer's market handing out flyers about your thing. Does it have anything to do with food? Well, yes, it someday might, because you might have a crazy woman on here talking about food is love. So, you never know. You never
Oh,
know.
Hey,
But you know what I mean? So I guess there's, like I said, it's another all encompassing thing that involves food, because you're supporting a business that's growing food. And if you love blueberries, go to the local place and pick the blueberries yourself. Another fun thing to do.
right.
hmm.
And I think, as much as we elaborate on the fact that, this is the reason why you want to go to farmers market, because of all these benefits that come over it, not only your experience, but like helping other people out. And I think it's also the important, like knowing what you're eating is important, because our stomachs are like our second brain.
Yep.
How we eat is how we fuel our body. So if you eat
Literally.
McDonald's or anything like that, that's what's gonna make you feel all like groggy and feel like you're still hungry after eating a whole, like, what is it? I haven't had McDonald's in so long, but like if you
Ooh.
go to was it Burger King and get it's a Big Mac. See, look, I don't even go to McDonald's like that. A Big Mac at McDonald's, and it was like, oh, it was a whole meal, but I'm still hungry. It's because like everything in there is processed. So it's like you have to be
Hmm.
mindful of what you
Right.
eat.
Well, this is a
Don't
good
forget
thing.
about the battery acid soda.
Yeah, there you go.
Ooh.
Well, you know what? So this now makes me think of another idea, because it's apparently I'm full of them. But you think about this. That's a really good idea for like an educational food podcast. Is you get some things like a Big Mac and then something else, and you say you can have this Big Mac, or you can have this, which could be like your homemade burger with the applesauce in it, or like a basket of blueberries and a piece of salmon and a salad, and it's the same calories or whatever, and what the differences are, and how you're going to feel like you're going to eat this and you're going to feel sluggish and you're going to be hungry in an hour, or you
Hmm.
can fill up on this beautiful piece of protein or this pint of blueberries that you
Right.
just picked yourself, or
Exactly.
again, those are good educational ideas for people, because sometimes it's not about not, it's just about not knowing.
Mhm. If you know, you'll do better.
Right.
So
And
it's
if you don't
Hmm.
know, it's okay too. Again, no one's wrong
Mhm.
out there. Nobody's wrong. It's just people do what they know.
Exactly. I
That's all
agree.
it is.
And it reminded me too, like kind of comparing and knowing like, hey, this is this side and then this side. I have his cookbook behind me, but Joshua Wiseman, I learned a
Yep.
lot from him as far as like comparing like a Big Mac or
Right.
anything that's from a fast food restaurant, and comparing it not only about how you do what you do to make it, but also the presentation, right?
Right.
A lot of
Hmm.
times like when we cook, we kind of want to make it look pretty, and that's where we get overwhelmed about cooking. Like, oh, if I'm gonna cook, it needs to look good. If it doesn't look good, it won't taste good. And it's like you got to start somewhere, right? Like
Right.
even if it's like making eggs, like I start making my eggs what is this, sunny over?
Well, there's sunny side up.
Sunny side up.
Sunny
There you
side
go.
up.
But I basket though.
Yeah.
So like I'll do that and I'll basket, which
Yep.
if people don't know what basking is, it's pretty much just having the leftover like oil or butter.
Right, and you cover the yolk with
Yep.
it so it
Yep.
cooks the top of the yolk.
Exactly, with whatever was left on the pan.
Right.
I love doing that. And
Yep.
if you love yolk, then I would suggest
Yeah,
whoever's
you
listening.
gotta leave
Try
it a
to it.
little runny. You gotta leave the egg a little runny.
Yeah, I
Let
like
it
it. I'm an
give
over
the extra
easy
flavor.
person, but I like the white cooked, but the yolk runny.
Yeah, I like
Okay.
running for my food. It gives me a good exercise. Yeah.
There you
Okay.
go.
All right. Oh, yeah.
There's my dad joke coming out.
Corny.
But I love how, you know, we're talking about food, the importance of how it brings people together, how it's acts of service. It talks about love, and just the importance about like what you eat is important because it's how it impacts how you think, how you feel, and how you just go out through your day. Especially if you're a very active person like myself, I have to be mindful of what I eat because if I just eat anything, it's gonna hurt my stomach. And I love when you brought up acid reflux because that was one of the things that I struggle with.
Yeah, it's
So it's like
terrible.
the no-mato sauce.
No-mato sauce.
I'm gonna have to-
No-mato. Like
I'll share the recipe with
Yes,
you. You can totally try it. It's easy. You just roast vegetables in a pan in the oven. You don't do anything. You just throw the vegetables in the pan with some olive oil, roast them, and then throw them in a blender and puree them.
Right.
Simple.
Yeah,
Yes.
I could definitely say like even with doing the diet, like I also have a time in the day where I'm fasting. So like even right now, like I'm fasting and I won't eat until like 2 o'clock, and then like I'll make sure I eat only until like 6:30 or 7, because then the rest of the night that food is gonna be digesting. So I want to be mindful of
Right.
like when I go to bed that all my food is digested. I'm drinking my water. I am hydrating, and then also like I even love how fruit and also just eating protein mainly recently has been giving me the energy. So like I've been having a lot more better runs and feeling more recovered after I sleep, because you know that feeling of soreness and then feeling like I don't want to do it today. So I've been having a better time like going to the next day and be like, all right, I can do this again.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, I definitely agree.
Well, the
Everybody
other
has
thing
their own diet.
I wanted to just slip in there because you kind of started talking about it, and then I don't know, we got sidetracked by the Fruit Loops and Apple Jacks, I think. But you were talking about, you almost said smaller meals. And I think that's another thing that a lot of people don't know. Like people are like 3 meals a day and they eat 3 big meals a day. I also feel like if you eat, you tend to learn to eat healthier if you do smaller meals because you learn what goes together really well. Like in the morning, you can have your sunny side up eggs and you can have a piece of toast and an avocado, right?
Yep.
So you figure that's got to be around 300 or 400 calories. Then maybe by 10 o'clock, you're hungry again. And what do you want to do? You want to have something that's in the same, like maybe like an apple and some nuts or a yogurt and something that's like a fat, a carb. Like I don't want to get too involved with the nutrition factor of it because I don't really know and I don't want to speak of things that I don't, you know, I'm not a nutritionist. So
Yes.
I'm just playing one on the podcast kind of thing. So if you try to eat something again, even if you do eat dairy, an apple and string cheese and some nuts, it's amazing how much something like that will fill you up. Right. And again, you're not driving through and getting the egg McMuffin and that comes wrapped in a piece of paper and it looks like somebody put it between 2 bricks and smashed it flat.
Right.
Like think of how much more appealing a beautiful red shiny apple. See my eyes getting like really bright when I talk about
and
food.
you got red on.
Yeah, I have red. But you know what I'm saying? Like, look at that beautiful apple and your cashews or whatever. Just it's just so much more appealing than that flat egg McMuffin.
Yeah.
Sorry, McDonald's.
I love that you say that because like when I was at my meditation retreat, a lot of the things that we were eating a lot was oatmeal. And with that oatmeal, they had a whole bunch of other things. You're like raisins, raspberries, sunflower seeds.
Raisins go nice with oatmeal.
So
yeah.
Yes, they do.
I took the time to like get creative there and I started, you know, putting sunflower seeds, raisins. So like now coming back, I put raisins in my oatmeal and I put like other things in there and I'm just getting more creative with that. And so it's like, it's being mindful that, hey, like it doesn't take that much. And it's like what we said already, like keep it simple. Like it doesn't need to be extravagant. It doesn't need to have all these kinds of like ingredients, right? It's like salt and pepper as far as like salmon. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And
you don't need a lemon,
great.
fresh lemon at the end. Squeeze a fresh lemon on.
Boom.
There you go.
Done.
That's all you need.
Dazzled.
But
Bonjour.
you know, so the oatmeal thing, like you were just saying, think of how when you eat a bowl of oatmeal plain, like you eat it and you're good for a while. But what happens, it starts to go away. Now take that bowl of oatmeal, add some raisins, add some raspberries, and add like a nut or a seed or a fat kind of thing. And there, think of how much fuller. So again, you're making a meal out. You're taking a base thing and you're just adding on it.
Yep.
And you're creating a meal. And just a quick funny story about that. There was a place in Brooklyn I went to once. It was a pop-up porridge shop. And what it was, they had you went in and they had a list of things like oatmeal, cream of wheat, amaranth, like different hot cereals, and then they had add-ins. So like, you know, when you go get an ice cream and they have add-ins, because that's all I can think of, because I got Dairy Queen on the brain constantly. It's like that, where you go, you pick out. But the one thing they did have that I thought was really interesting, they also had a savory board of things, and they had chopped ham and peas and cheese. And these were all things that you mix in your oatmeal. And, you know, I had one with vegetables and ham in it, and it was amazing. So people, put some ham in your oatmeal and some peas.
Interesting.
It's so good. It was really good. And again, there you go. It's got that combination. You got the carb, you got, you know, I don't really eat dairy, but if you put cheese in there, they had peanut butter, almond butter. They had all different kinds of, they had chopped bacon.
Getting me hungry.
Yeah. So again, it's like with anything, take one simple thing like a bowl of oatmeal and look at all the things you can do with it. And people don't know this.
Right. You just gotta experiment.
Get it out there.
Experiment, you know?
Yeah, I think that summarizes like how I look at the kitchen, like Angel was talking earlier, because I think like for me, I just think about like why not? You know, and so even when it comes to certain seasonings, like you got to measure and you got to give yourself a taste test too. So I think being able to be open allows you to try things in a different way. Because like last night, the way I had my steak, I had it with marinara sauce, but the night before that, I had it with ranch and habanero mustard. And then
so you can do anything,
that, right? And then the seasonings, I did salt and pepper the other night with the habanero mustard. Then the night previously, I did buttered onion flavored seasoning and black cherry chipotle seasoning, and that was different. So you know, experiment, figure it out. You know, break through, use your sauce, be safe.
Yes.
I would love to also come to the conclusion of our fantastic conversation.
Thank you.
Last time when you was here, you did not have this opportunity, so we have something special for our last rally for cry questions. And me and Tyler made a communication card game, and it's called Enough Said. So it's perfect icebreaker questions. It's kind of similar to what we did before, but this time we have a card game with it. So we're gonna have you pick out 4 cards.
And you can physically feel the questions right there.
Okay.
Yes.
I love that.
This
I love that.
This is the card game. Yeah, if everybody that is watching us on YouTube,
that's awesome.
This is our card game. Yeah, Enough Said. The whole point of it is to basically just ask interesting questions. Right?
Okay.
If you ask interesting questions, then obviously you're
going to get interesting answers.
Yes, exactly. And
hopefully.
Like mind you, we asked interesting questions, and look how well this conversation went.
Right. Now you're going to ask the questions, and I would be dead silent. Crickets chirping. That's where you got to get that little button where you hit the button and the crickets start chirping.
I think I do have one of those buttons.
Or no, if not the cricket, then it's gonna be the drums.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right. I think we have that one too, but since we don't ever have the opportunity to use it, we don't.
Come on, let's do it.
Where is it?
Let's do the crickets just once.
It's not that one.
I like that though.
That was a thing.
Oh?
That's gonna be after I answer a question. Oh, there it is.
Oh, there it goes. All right.
Just because you wanted it, I had to do it for you.
That's right. All
right, so
it's funny that we haven't used it, but hey.
I know, right? I'm gonna put these face down. You pick 4 cards, and then you just give it back to me in this case, okay?
Okay.
Righty then.
All right.
1, 2, 3, 4. A wimbo it.
Oh, I give them back to you. I thought I get to read them all. Like, okay, then I could just like look at it and go, I'm not going to answer that one.
See, now I was gonna cheat. No. Now, so Yeah, you could do the same way. So you can answer this to 1 word minimum to
Okay.
sentence maximum. So we're gonna start with the first question. She's excited.
Can I be close to the cricket button?
Yeah, if you want, I'll cue you in. You just put a finger up and I got you. All right. So first question is, if you could overcome any fear, what would it be and how would you do it?
Mm.
Yeah, just keep playing that. All right, so I'll give you a good example really quick. I'm afraid of heights, so
Okay.
I fly.
Oh,
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
get
if you're
that.
afraid, in other words, if you're afraid of something, do what you're afraid of.
Mm.
In other words, just
okay.
do it. Because there's no way to get over it except doing it. So for
Mm.
years, I was afraid of heights. And I was like, you know
Wow.
what? I'm going to fly to Seattle. And I did. And it's like that I flew to Seattle again. I really like Seattle. But if you're really afraid of heights, go up to the top of the Empire State Building and walk out to the glass and look. And a lot of times it's again, it's like anything. It's like being afraid of cooking. Cook.
Right.
Afraid,
Mm.
you know, whatever you're afraid of, try it, because I think a lot of people can overcome fears that way.
Face it head on. It's actually a thing called implosion therapy.
Yeah.
So you just gotta put yourself in what you're scared of and just adapt to that and be like, yo, it's
Right.
not gonna hurt you. Of course, be careful though. Like, don't burn yourself in cooking and don't
Right.
jump off the building.
No. No,
Don't.
but it's a really good
But,
example.
yeah.
Like, I can say this and I can be open about it and people can listen to it and be like, wow, I get it. I was very afraid to get into a relationship
Mhm.
and I took a chance. I was like, nope, I'm getting cats, you know, and I'm a
Right.
cat lady.
Right.
I met somebody really nice and I allowed him to come in, so to speak,
Yeah.
and it's been going great.
Nice.
And when you let go and
Let
say,
go.
I'm going to let this go and let the height in or let the boyfriend in or let whoever in or whatever in, I feel like you learn to not be as afraid.
I love that. Well said. Enough said.
Okay.
Yeah, enough said.
Enough said.
Next question will be, time travel to your younger self. What would you tell yourself?
Mm.
She loves that.
I do. Just keep it coming. I think I would tell myself probably the same thing I talk about now, and it's to keep it simple. I just feel like that rule applies to everybody at all ages. And
Enough said.
I just think it's just we make things so difficult for ourselves.
Right.
And when you're younger, it's true. I can speak as an older woman now. There's so much as a younger woman that you don't know. And you do have to learn. Like if I was giving advice to my younger self, I'd tell myself not to do something. But then it's like, how can you do that? You're not going to learn. Like,
Right.
don't go out with the wrong guy, or don't, go drink too much, or don't whatever. You might need to learn. You might need to drink too much and fall down and break your best high heel shoes, or I don't know.
Right.
You just
True.
again, it's like with anything, you have to learn. But I do think I would just say,
Keep it
keep
simple.
your life simple and enjoy your life, because it goes by so quick. Just have as much fun as you can without getting hurt,
Right.
and enjoy life, and just be open to all the things that come at you.
Yes. Enough said. I love it. Yes. All right.
Keep it simple.
It pays to be an old lady, trust me.
All right. Number 3, we got, what's something you want to try but haven't?
Ooh.
It could be nothing, but if you tried everything, hey.
That's a tough one, because I think no matter how old you get, there's always going to be experiences. And I can't say I want to try it because I've already traveled, but I would like to travel to more exotic places.
Right.
So I think
Okay.
that's would be my answer. Like, I don't think there's anything I really want to try per se, but I'd love to travel more and do some things like go to the Galapagos Islands and swim with the marine iguanas. And so it is kind of trying things, because nobody wants to swim with a lizard that looks like Godzilla, but I do.
I do. Hello, sign me up. We
Yeah.
have to sign.
So something like that. I would say probably travel more to some exotic places.
Enough said. Okay. All right. So our last question is, if you could spend a weekend with any celebrity, who would it be and why?
So I think you asked, this was a question that I actually got to answer before, kind of. And she's no longer on the earth, but if I had the chance to go back and spend time, I would definitely say Julia Child, because she is like my idol. She had a lot to do with it's not necessarily what got started me in cooking, but she was really the first woman. She was like a pioneer in the food industry, because she was the first woman to be allowed to go to school in France, to cooking school. And just she got on TV. She got a break and got on PBS and had her own show. This is going way back. I think you really should Google her and just look up. She had the best personality, and once I got to meet her, and I was very lucky. So I would have to say Julia Child.
Wow, at least you got that opportunity to meet her.
I got to meet her at in Cambridge at a book signing. She was she lived in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I worked at the Ocean Club, which was a restaurant at the Cambridge Hotel, and she was in the lobby, and she was 6'2", tall, friendly, so nice, and just
very tall.
So definitely, I would love to.
I definitely look up to her.
Yes, I did, and I did. So
that's a neat
I totally
slapper.
did. I literally did look up to her.
Yeah, right. I love it. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's enough said.
I can't imagine that experience. Meeting your favorite celebrity, and like, oh man, that's beautiful.
Yep.
Meeting your favorite celebrity and getting them to sign anything, or just even having a conversation with them. You know, Angel knows, if I got to meet The Weeknd, that's all for real. But if I got to meet him and have a conversation,
God bless America. God bless America.
I'm 6 feet after that.
Yep.
I'm 6 feet after that. You can't tell me otherwise.
I love it. Yeah, so those were the 4 enough said.
That was great.
Perfect icebreaker questions. I'm glad this time you was able to experience this with us.
Yes.
And see it physically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely love this episode. I think everybody that is listening should really partake into what they eat, how they eat, and why they're eating it. And then understanding that how, going to your farmer market and supporting one another is very important. And just knowing that you just got to keep it simple, right? Like just in life in general, and just don't overwhelm yourself. Just take a pan, take a pot, and just try something new. It's okay. You got to see what you like. It's not cooking for anyone else. If it is, you keep practicing, but you always can have someone that but you can always keep, like, at least if you're gonna cook for someone, don't do it for just anybody, right? Start with your family, start with your friends, the people that you love and care about, because those are the ones that are gonna have you in your best interest. So yeah, guys, we love you. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram at The Rally Cries. Follow us on your favorite podcast platform. And I'm telling you guys, we're on a marathon having people come on the show. Like Cathie came on, and she came on the second time, which we do truly appreciate. We have a whole bunch of guests that are coming on. So it's like, we are really bringing people together. And I love we were able to still talk about that today with food. So I'm excited. Also, I want to say there is going to be a time where me and Cathie just get together and really go in the kitchen, talk about what we're talking about here, but like, let's talk about food and like just have a good time, because it's just awesome. So I love it. I'm excited for that. To that. There's an event that we probably plan on doing as well with the card game. So by the time when this episode releases, I'm not too sure, but just be mindful of that. So if you follow us on Instagram, then you are well on your way. So yeah, guys, we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Let's keep growing together, bring people together, and make sure you take one step at a time. Live moment by moment.
One day at a time. Please don't forget. And TTO, trust the organic way.
At 1-800.
You can dial now. 444-4444-8414.
Yes. All right, guys. We love you. Peace.